Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Shout out to all the wonderful new subscribers and returning friends. Welcome. If you are new to the channel, you have not yet subscribed. What are you waiting for, darling? Hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. So when I get to running this mouth, baby, you are in the loop. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's recently subscribed, who has shared content, who encouraged me, and we have finally crossed over into the 1K club. I am one of the newest members of the 1K club, so thank you to everyone who made it possible. I really appreciate each and every one of you who's consistently giving, words of encouragement, leaving comments, sharing the videos, liking, even disliking, even the critical comments. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. Links are in my about section. And of course, I feel like somebody has been doing some good work there. The numbers on Instagram are going up. So I really appreciate everybody who is following me over there on Instagram. And of course, check out the community tab. I upload different videos and stuff I find interesting. Sometimes it's just stuff that I find really funny. So please be sure to check out the polls and everything in the community tab. So, big shout out to Claire on Instagram. Shout out to the Instagram gang. She sent me a message this morning about this picture that she came across. Basically, Madonna has appeared with her adopted son, a young Black man from Malawi, dressed as a cheerleader. And she said, I really want you to check out this thing, especially the fact that he's wearing these horns and everything. So shout out to Freedman's Journal. What the Funk in the building. We have to get to 2K. That's on the horizon. We'll get there eventually if I stick around long enough. Shout out to S. Lynch Nicholas in the building. These guys are having a little back and forth. Thank you so much, you guys out here. Okay, so I don't even know where I want to go with this because, it came across my radar just this morning, and I wanted to talk about it because we do talk a lot about the agendas, all right? And as I was kind of quickly trying to find some information about Madonna, everybody's familiar with Madonna. She is a musical legend, a musical icon. She's a woman who basically was, she built a brand on breaking stereotypes and breaking perceptions, okay? She is somebody who, she embodied change. She embodied always constantly reinventing yourself, okay? And that's something that we can give her credit for. I was reading one of these articles and it was basically saying that whether you like her or not, Madonna has outlived Michael Jackson and Prince, who both would have been 60, I believe, this year. She's outlived Whitney Houston. She's outlived a lot of icons. And she's constantly managed to kind of stay relevant by reinventing herself with every generation. And one of the things that kind of made Madonna have a new lease of public life was her open promotion of the Jewish mysticism of Kabbalah, okay? And so I'm not going to say like I'm an expert, but I everybody knows I'm a conspiracy theorist. And it's been widely understood and known that many of the people in Hollywood, they subscribe to mysticism of some kind. They engage in yoga, they like Kabbalah. I've done videos when I looked at the breakdown of WAP. You can see, like, it's common knowledge now, a lot of celebrities wearing this red string, which is a symbol of being, part of Kabbalah. And obviously a lot of religions, they have their orthodox side and they have the mystical side. So Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism. And in the late 90s, I believe it was, early 2000s or something, that's when Madonna really became popular, and she popularized and put Kabbalah on the map for the celebrities, okay? So I wanted to look at it from that angle because I wasn't really sure how Kabbalah really matched with gender, because from from my understanding of scripture, cross-dressing was not something that was permitted. Okay, the Canaanites were people who would worship Venus or Ishtar or Astaroth, depending on which group you want to label her as. Same deity, different name depending on the region. Okay, and so Venus, the planet Venus, moves through the sky and it makes a 5-point star. So people who worship Venus, Venus is also another word for the devil. So this is why the 5-point star is associated with Satan. Okay, so women would wear armor to present like a man, and men would wear soft clothing to present like a woman. So cross-dressing was part of, in some occult circles, part of their worship. And we believe that's why in the New Testament, they were saying like it's forbidden. Now, as I was reading, it says that one of the things that was definitely forbidden was cross-dressing for the purpose of deception. So cross-dressing to mislead people is wrong. Okay, so when we get into the realm of the undetectable trans, okay, even from a Jewish perspective, this is wrong. Because, and I'm not saying that I subscribe to the Jewish perspective, but what I am saying is, I know there is contention between people whether or not women should wear pants or not. And of course, we're going to look at should men wear dresses, okay? But when it comes onto this concept of the undetectable trans, this is, at least from that perspective, whether you're a Kabbalist or an Orthodox Jew or a Christian, this is wrong. If you know you were born specifically, biologically one gender, and now you have transitioned to another gender, you have an obligation to tell somebody that I was born this way and I transitioned this way. And we're going to look a little bit, we're going to do a little bit of reading because, I'm not an expert in any shape, form, and especially on this. But Lady A, it's music playing. Yeah, we're playing some music in the background. I don't want to sit here in silence when I'm not talking. There's nothing in the background. Okay, so we're going to read this article that I came across. All right, what the Torah teaches us about gender fluidity and transgender justice. Okay, so I'll try and read through it as quickly as possible, because although this is talking about the Torah, it's going to also talk about mysticism a little bit as well. So I wanted to find something that was a bit more concise. So it says here, for our Israelite ancestors, the most important festival of the year was Sukkot. The most widely practiced ritual was the bringing of the first fruit to the temple in Jerusalem. The Talmud recalls for us the pageantry, the colorful parades, music, and the feasting that lasted for 8 straight days and nights. The entire tractate of Talmud, in fact, is devoted to the laws and rituals of bringing the first fruits, detailing the ornamentation of offerings and how the gifts would be offered by men and women. During the course of the discussion, the text poses a question that many today might find quite stunning. While reviewing the different obligations of men and women when it comes to offering the first fruits of Shavuot, the rabbis pondered the circumstances for those who fall outside the normative identities of male and female. Here's how the discussion begins. The androgynous, who presents both male and female physical traits, is in some ways like men and in some ways like women. In some ways, they are like both men and women, and in other ways, like neither men nor women. Okay, so I'm not familiar with that scripture, but this source was originally part of a centuries-long oral tradition, finally committed to writing in the 3rd century. It is remarkable that a sacred text, which is likely more than 2,000 years old, considers the circumstances of gender identity outside the assumed binary distinctions of male and female. From the beginning of our Torah's imaginings of the creation of humankind, gender diversity was part of the divine plan. We read of the creation of humanity in the very first chapter of Genesis, that when God created the first human being, God said, "Let us make Adam in our image after our likeness." Then we are taught that God created Adam in his image and in the image of God, he created him. Male and female, God created them. The sages explained the unusual language as the meaning that God created the first human being as an androgynous person, containing both male and female characteristics simultaneously. We understand the verse male and female, God created them, as a merism, a figure of speech in which a totality is expressed by two contrasting parts. This verse was interpreted as such by Rabbi Margaret Weinig. For example, old and young, as the prophet Joel foresees. The old shall dream dreams, and the young shall see visions. This is to say, old and young, and everyone in between. Similarly, near and far, as in Isaiah's call, greetings of peace to those near and far, and those in between. So we learn that God created the human being as male and female, and every combination in between. So this is the interpretation that is being put on the scripture. Now, I personally believe that when God created male and female, I can understand this idea of androgyny, because first and foremost, God is a spirit. So God has no physical body. God has no physical limitations, as it were. So it's not a case of God is male or female, but when it comes to God and the angels, we refer to them in the masculine tense, okay? We don't use feminine tenses for God or angels, okay? I mean, just like in certain languages like French or Spanish, words have a masculine or a feminine connotation attached to them. If it ends in an O, in Spanish, it's deemed a masculine word. Even if it's an inanimate object like a cup or something, it's given a male or a female tense before it. If it ends in an A, it would be considered a feminine word. And there's a similar rule for French and other languages, okay? And when we look at the original text that we have for angels, angels are always in a masculine tense. So if you see a female angel somewhere, that's already inaccurate, because technically there are no such things as female angels if we look at the grammar. But what I wanted to say is, although we could argue God is androgynous because, from this God, male and female came, at the end of the day, Jesus said God created two genders, male and female. Now, I understand you could say that if you're talking about young and old and everyone in between, or near and far and everyone in between, that you could say the same for male and female. And I don't agree with that, because I believe that there are distinctions between men and women, from the way we look to our physiology, the way our brains are structured, to our hormones, the way we process information. There are a lot of differences, more than there are similarities. And everything is on a spectrum, but I don't believe that God wanted there to be a myriad of genders, okay? Again, we're not saying that, we should go out there and catch, people who are not heteronormative and, bash gay people or speak disparagingly against them. But I don't believe that God designed for there to be a multitude of genders. I don't see the LGBTQ community functioning in a way that is healthy or is viable. I don't think that I understand that it feels like there are a lot more people who are members of the LGBTQ community than there actually are, because of the way it's being pushed on us. But actually, the number of people who identify as part of that community is probably less than 10% of the world's population. So I already feel like there's an agenda being pushed. Again, people who are not heteronormative, who are not, conforming and things like that, and they have sexuality that is different from heterosexual. I understand that there is a lot of pressure and a lot of persecution and things like this. So I can understand where people want justice, they want fairness, they want the right to live in peace, they don't want to live in fear and things like that. I totally understand and I agree with that. But what I don't appreciate is this constant agenda to force this way of life on everybody else. So that's just how I feel about it. So I just wanted to make that really clear. I personally don't believe that God designed for there to be a multitude of genders in between binary male and binary female. Okay. But obviously, we know that even back then, the scripture talks about this concept of the word effeminate. Effeminate doesn't mean a man who has feminine traits. Effeminate means a man who wears soft, well, yeah, it's a man who wears soft clothing and presents himself like a female. And so, even back then, women who were lesbian would shave their hair as a sign that they did not submit to the authority of men, which is why, the women are supposed to allegedly have longer hair, not only so that it shows that you submit to a man, but also so that from a distance you can tell this is a woman, because obviously back then men and women dressed quite similarly. So if there was no distinction, how would you know from a distance or from the back, if you came up on somebody from behind, was this really a man or a woman? Okay, so I believe that cross-dressing was forbidden because of the idolatrous nature of it, but cross-dressing was also forbidden because there was a deceptive element to it. If you have a very soft-faced male with very long hair, I mean, before puberty, it's easy to confuse them for a female. I mean, especially at a younger age. And so there was an issue with deception. And that's one of the things that we have today, is a culture of deception, whether it's sticking things to ourselves to change our appearance. Again, I'm not part of the weave police. I'm not going to, crucify anybody because they like to change their hair or something like that. I don't have an issue with people wearing a little bit of makeup, but I don't agree with people wearing so much makeup that they look like a different person. And there's just a lot of deception with filters and people just doing different things to augment the way they look. Obviously now plastic surgery has gone mainstream, so that's another way to be deceptive. And obviously the ultimate deception is this concept of trying to create this undetectable trans person. Like, you wouldn't know that this person was born biologically a different gender, even though biologically they're still the same gender, because every cell has the coding for whatever they were born with. But okay, you were assigned a gender at birth, but you are not living as that gender. Okay, so in fact, strikingly, our Jewish legal tradition identifies no fewer than 6 distinct genders, certainly assuming as normative the male and female, but including as well designations which we now refer to as intersex identities. To use the Hebrew terms, the androgynous, one who has both male and female characteristics; the tumtum, one whose biology is unclear; the Ayalonit, who identified as female at birth, but at puberty develops male characteristics. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe that they present more like a boy, a tomboy. The Saris, who appears as a male at birth, but later takes on more typically female biology. I don't know what that is. Maybe weight gain that could lead to things like breasts or something. I would suggest, based on the study of these legal texts, that the Jewish understanding of gender is neither binary nor even a grid into which every person must be forced to fit. Rather, we see gender diversity as a spectrum, truly a rainbow of possibilities for reflecting the image of God. So when I read this, I was thinking, because again, I'm not going to say that this is what all Jewish people believe, and this is definitely what people who are into the Kabbalah believe, because it felt like, from what I quickly glanced, a lot of people who are in Kabbalah actually are more like, it's very clear that there's just 2 genders here. Everything is either male or female. There isn't always a clear diversity of gender. Now, people who practice Kabbalah, they believe in paths, I believe, like from basically ascending into the ultimate consciousness. It's very close to going up the chakras and trying to reach God consciousness and things like this. You have a long path, you have the light side and the dark side, and it's believed that when we talk about Star Wars, you have because I believe Darth is actually one of the circles on the tree of life. I'll bring it up in a minute. And so you have a long path, which is like the right side, and then you have the shorter path to godhood, which is a bit more precarious, but that's the dark side. So a lot of people say that the Star Wars movies is actually based on this concept of the tree of life, and you have this battle between people trying to take the path which takes a bit longer, but you know, you come off it a bit better, versus trying to go straight up the middle of the tree of life, and then you ultimately end up, you could be destroyed by the power of the dark side. So I'll just bring it up because I know some people maybe are not familiar. And you can check out the video I did on the breakdown of what the full Illuminati breakdown of what that looks like. And they kind of give me the Celtic version, which is not what I want. If you guys are here, you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button, drop a comment. So this is the tree of life. I'm sure a lot of people have seen things like this, and there are so many ways in which the occult and the new age and mysticism, they all kind of intertwine with each other. So you have here the Kabbalistic tree of life, but here I'm looking for one where they overlap it with the chakras. Well, these are the colors of the chakra, but there's also ones where let me see. I'm sure you guys can see that. So mysticism, you know, with all due respect, everybody has the right to believe and practice what they want to believe. And I believe that when the scripture says that in the last days, you know, we're talking about things like whoredom, we're talking about things like sorcery. It's not just talking about literal sexual activity, which we know is also on the rise. When we had the sexual revolution, there was also an occult revolution, there was also a drug revolution, and there was a whole cultural shift when it comes to what people believed was normal or right or moral. Okay, there wasn't just people engaging in free love. They were starting to throw out Judeo-Christian principles and start bringing in the new age and the occult. There was a revolution or a resurrection, a revival when it came to witchcraft. And, you know, we get the word pharmakia or pharmacy and things like this from the word sorcery. So using drugs to alter your state of mind, to be taken over by another spirit, was deemed witchcraft. So today we have a culture of drug use, we have a culture of sexual immorality, we have a culture of occult practices. Once upon a time, they used to use sex to sell everything, but if you really pay attention, they use a lot of new age principles. Like you'll often see people sitting in the lotus position, you'll often see lotus flowers in commercials these days. Now the new trend or the new wave that they use to sell things is the new age. And because new age is kind of like this endless rabbit hole, no matter which path you get on, eventually you get into this melting pot of concepts. So you have a lot of overlap between people who practice, for example, Kabbalah, and people who are into the new age, and people who do yoga, and people who are into the occult, and people who dabble in various dark arts. They all have a similar set of beliefs or practices, different names, and that's why they can all converge together. This is why the scripture calls idolatry whoring, because a whore doesn't belong to one person. Whoever's there and available, she will give herself to that person. So unlike the people of God who are supposed to be committed to one God, people who engage in the occult, they end up becoming available to so many different things, because with all due respect, it's almost like an open sewer refusing nothing. If I come to you and say, let me explain to you a different meaning to this color, this number, this item, this flower, this herb, this spice, this potion, it's like now I'm taking on more information about the same thing. Then I go here, someone says, let me tell you about the meaning of this. So everything that I know, somebody can come from somewhere else with a different belief system and then give me so-called more information. This is why the scripture says in the last days people will be ever learning but never coming to the knowledge of the truth. Because when you are taking on all these different belief systems, theories, religious practices, you will never come to a finite conclusion, because one person will tell you this thing means one thing, but then another person will tell you it could mean the complete opposite. So how do you know what the truth is? You will never come to a clear conclusion. Okay, so this is why people are combining Kabbalah now with, the New Age and chakras and ascending to godhood. But like the text said, okay, androgyny is almost seen like you coming closer to a godlike status. And that's what I really feel like with these celebrities. This is what they're really trying to push. They're trying to bring heaven on earth. They're trying to make men feel like they are God. Like, we don't need God. We can be gods on this earth. And I know there were certain movements that really pushed that, but reflecting God's image in our own strength is not us, being free and liberal and, I'm going to dress, however I feel today and call it I'm reflecting the glory of God. There, according to scripture, according to Christ, there is a way to reflect the glory of God, and that's through holiness and through righteousness and living a certain life. It's not through, my truth is my truth and I can do whatever I want because that's my truth, and if that's what I feel truth is, then I'm going to just do it, and then that's an aspect of God. Like, I can call any and everything I do just a reflection of God. And people can argue this, but I personally don't agree that that's what reflects God. Okay, so shout out to the Afropolitan podcast in the building, Dane C. The community doesn't function well. A lot of times people say that the trans community, they suffer a lot because of persecution, but times are more liberal than ever. And it's been found that people who are trans, even when they are not being persecuted, they are like 10 times more likely to feel suicidal. I do not believe that for all trans people that it is just, I feel like I'm in the wrong body. I do feel like transgenderism is a byproduct of a different mental health condition. And so, as much as I'm not trying to stigmatize people who are trans or to demonize them in any way, I do believe that transgenderism is not something that it's in a bubble or isolated. Okay, and there are other issues within that community, and we need to get the statistics and really see that there are issues within the LGBTQ community that are greater than those for the straight community. Okay, so now we have people who will call you a bigot if you don't want to date a trans person, and this is part of the persecution of the straight person, really and truly, because at the end of the day, you have the right to be with who you feel you want to be with. And so it's not fair on straight people who are the overwhelming majority. Okay, Freeman's Journal says 2 to 3% at best, and that is in the West. Outside of the West, it's almost non-existent. The thing about it is this: you can be gay. There are people who are gay all over the world, okay? And there are laws and there are ways in which these people are persecuted, even executed, okay? And that I don't agree with, all right? But there is a thing where in the West, the moment you kind of suggest you are not heteronormative, you are being ushered into trans. Recently, I think it was last year, there was a lady, she won her court case because she transitioned from a girl to a boy, from a female to a male. And then when she got a bit older, she realized she'd made a mistake. And she's like, had I been given more time, I wouldn't have necessarily transitioned. And she's like, even if I stopped taking my hormones and I kind of tried to revert back to being a female, although she kind of still looked a bit androgynous now. But okay, if I tried to go back to living as a woman, I've been sterilized because of the puberty blockers. And so again, if I put on my tinfoil hat, I'm thinking, is the transgender agenda really, is it really about population control. Because if you are giving prepubescent children drugs that stops the development of their reproductive organs, and then afterwards they decide they want to become what they would have been assigned at birth, you've effectively created a eunuch, you've created a sterilized person. And so I look at this and I think to myself, a lot of these celebrities, they are propped up to push certain agendas. And it's amazing how many celebrities out here have adopted Black children. And Charlize Theron had a young boy in a dress. A lot of people talked about that. Madonna, she is 60, dating 30-year-olds with 6 children. I think she's got, 2 or so who are, or 2 or 3. I'm not sure how many biological children she has, but she has 6 in total. She's, like Angelina Jolie, she has about 3 biological children. Angelina Jolie's daughter Shiloh was, expressing herself dressed like a boy. Okay, this is a white child in this instant, but she was dressed like a boy for a long time, and Angelina supported that. And it came out recently. She came out one day and she dressed like a teenage girl, and everybody was shocked because normally they're used to seeing her in like a suit, dressing like a boy, like short haircuts and things like this. And so it's like, had she said, I feel like I'm in the wrong body, she could have been pushed to now start taking puberty blockers and testosterone to make her appear like a male. And I'm not going to say it's just a phase and be very flippant about it, but it would have been something that we have to talk about, why this need to push this gender neutrality and to normalize it to the point where even children who maybe are just unsure in themselves are being ushered down that path. So I do believe there is something more nefarious to it, but I can't necessarily prove it. But even we see with Will Smith's son, I don't know at what point he revealed to his parents he was gay, but from a very young age, they were pushing him to be, basically both of the Will Smith, Smith children have been kind of crossed over. Jaden has often been depicted in a very feminine way. A lot of the times he's in some type of quote unquote female attire. And obviously Willow has always been a bit of a tomboy. So, it's strange out here. Thank you so much to George for. Shout out to Mr. Mr. Uganda in the building. Yes. Okay. So we need Umar Johnson to tell us about the root chakra and the root chakra beers, and how he's a Pan-Africanist and he's African religionist or whatever you want to call him, but then he's talking about chakras. So you can see they're trying to normalize a lot of these different things out here. So reflecting of the image of God, I see it more as people trying to ascend to the position of God and using this type of behavior as a way to do it. And so it says here, and what of the transgender, those people whose gender identity, expression, and behavior is different from those typically associated with their assigned sex at birth. In fact, Jewish traditional wisdom allowed for such possibilities, and especially our mystical text, the Kabbalah, address the notion of transitioning from one gender to another. We have opinions that suggest that Jacob's daughter, Dinah, was conceived with the soul of a man, but through divine intersection was transitioned into a woman. Likewise, the Kabbalah teaches that Abraham's son Isaac was ensouled as a woman, but born as a man for the purpose of carrying forward the family's unique covenant with God. Our mystical traditions speak of Gilgal HaNeshama, the cycling of souls, essentially a form of reincarnation through which it happens that the soul of a male will enter a female body and vice versa, a circumstance which may be remedied as a transgender. So again, we don't believe in the concept of reincarnation from a Christian perspective, because the scripture said it's appointed unto man once to die, and after that comes the judgment. So after death, your soul stays whatever gender it was when it was on earth, and you go into the next realm as that gender. Okay, and you're not coming back. There's no recycling, there's no do-over, there's no purgatory. Where it falls is where it lays. And so again, we have this new age concept coming in where people are saying, you can do it over, don't worry. You don't have to worry if you've messed up this life, because you can always do it again. You may come back in the next life as a woman, you may come back in the next life as a man. And I was looking at something online. Where is it now? And it was basically saying that basically for the punishment of your sins, what you may have engaged in your previous life, you may come back with all kind of issues. There's certain things you cannot do because you've come back in a different body, but you haven't been granted the ability to do everything that you should be able to do in that body. Okay, so for those who want to see, it says Madonna celebrated her son David Banda as she shared a series of photos of him posing in a cheerleading uniform on Monday. The Vogue hitmaker 63 took to her Instagram account to share images showing Banda 16 hugging his famous mother as he donned an ensemble which included a black dress and the word cheer emblazoned across his chest. Banda individualized his outfit of choice with the addition of a black choker with silver chains, fishnet gloves, and black leggings. Makeup and feathered additions to his hair rounded out his look. Meanwhile, pop icon Madonna looked typically glamorous in a white lace semi-sheer top, which she teamed with a black jacket. Okay, so Page 6 reported in December that the star's 21-year-old son, Rocco Ritchie, sells art under the name Red. It's about that bit. Okay, so he embraced an expressionist style and vibrant colors, coupled with the freedom and dynamic energy of New York graffiti art. His time in New York was the beginning of his adventures in creating compositions on large scale. I don't know if that's him or... So I'm just trying to make this a bit small. So this is what... Claire doesn't love me. Claire doesn't like me. She wants me to have heart failure first thing in the morning. Okay. And so although it says, completing the look, again, we can see that it's all about the horns. Okay. Horns, I can't remember what the stag horns represent, but a lot of the time, bunny ears and things like that, they are designed to allude to sexuality and fertility. The rabbit has often been associated obviously with Easter, and so it's to do with the fertility gods and things like this. Again, I did a video on Bella Thorne and how she amassed $1 million, I think, in 2 days as soon as she opened her OnlyFans. And when you go through, you see pictures of her wearing the bunny ears, and I kind of fully broke down what the bunny ears represents and why you see a lot of celebrities posing with either Mickey Mouse ears or the bunny ears. And this is the newest addition to a black man in a dress, basically. So Madonna has been a gay icon for a long time. Since she first arrived in the States and was a teenager, she was embraced by gay people, and she's always been an advocate for gay rights. And again, like I said, I'm not against Madonna for supporting people who are being abused and mistreated based on their sexual orientation. Okay, so let's just have a quick look what it says. Back in May, Madonna shared video footage on Instagram of Banda modeling a white silk dress, and I did come across this. I don't think we'll be able to go to it. says ads loading, which I don't want to hear. We'll look at that in a minute. So you guys can see, I see a white screen. Madonna's demon has got me. Madonna's demon has got his foot on my internet connection. Okay. So there was another video, I might try and find it in a minute, of him wearing a long silky dress. And as usual, the liberal media was praising him, talking about how fierce it was and how he really worked the dress. And although we have this concept of stereotypical gender roles and the way men dress and women dress, why is it not okay for a man to wear a dress? But this is all part of the confusion. And like I said, for me, this is part of the deception. Even if you don't agree with Judaism, and I certainly don't agree with Jewish mysticism, the fact that they specifically highlighted the fact that you should not be deceiving people by dressing in a way that makes you appear to be one thing when you're not. And that is becoming the trend now. Okay, so again, if you are trans and you are running around here lying about your gender, that you was born one thing or another, and I'm not condoning somebody getting upset. Okay, I've got to pick my words carefully. I'm not condoning somebody getting upset, but you have a duty to tell people, I was born a man and I transitioned. I was born a woman and I transitioned. Okay, because you have the right to deal with who you want to deal with, and they have the right to deal with whoever they want to deal with. There are enough people out here who like trans people that you don't need to lie to straight people who want a cisgendered person. Okay. Agreed. I never really got people saying my truth. What if someone's truth is the law of gravity isn't real? They'll step off a building and find out the actual truth. And I was gonna, post on Twitter about this. It's like there's subjective truth and there's objective truth. And we cannot say that subjective truth is equal to objective truth. Okay? They are two totally different things. Your perception is not necessarily the truth. It's a truth. You are entitled to it, but that doesn't mean to say that your perception is the truth. And so we have to be very careful, because again, in this culture, the culture that we're in right now, everybody's opinion is supposed to be deemed equal to everybody else's opinion. And even if it doesn't objectively line up, you can't challenge it because it's called a truth. But the reality is this: your perception or subjective truth is not the same as objective truth. And again, it's about removing the old landmarks. It's all about breaking down the order. But there isn't going to be order out of chaos. There's going to be a new world order out of this orchestrated chaos. And they use celebrities like Madonna, who basically is given a new lease of life every decade to keep pushing these kinds of agendas. So What the Funk said, we should do a breakdown on Neely Fuller's LGBT agenda. I think we'll have to do like a Neely Fuller day, and you and I will just we'll go through everything, because Neely Fuller touched on a lot. I don't agree with everything he said, but I do agree that this is something that's been in the pipeline a long time. Don't even get me started on the clowns who stealth date. We had a few YouTubers who admitted to it. I'm not sure what stealth dating is. And this community is deep in the Black church. Well, a lot of the people who head some of these big Black churches are not really... They say they're for God, but they are not. Okay, they're of the synagogue of Satan, and in public they profess one God, but in secret, in their secret places, that little coffee be nice, even though it's cold. In these secret places, they are dabbling with other organizations, and those who know. We all know who those organizations are at this point. I don't need to spell it out. So Yeah, there isn't a lot I can say about this, really. Um, there isn't a lot I can say about this. It's just another This is another celebrity who is being propped up to basically push this notion that it's normal for people to be gender fluid. I do believe that it's kind of to do with the Baphomet. Obviously, the Baphomet is also androgynous. But everything God does, Satan has to try to imitate it. So if you look on the right, you can see the Baphomet has the upper body of a person, I guess, with a breast, but also a phallus. It's half goat, it's half human, it's half up, it's half down. It's kind of like trying to emulate God without coming the way God has told us to come to Him. Okay, and so as you can see here, the New Age is what is being promoted. It says take God and prayer out of the education system, and that has already happened. I showed a picture on Instagram. I was just watching some TV, and it happened to actually be children's programs, and the children sat in the lotus position in front of I don't know if it was like a monk, and they were trying to do meditation. And when I go out and about, I'm seeing a lot of meditation being targeted at children, children's yoga, children's meditation, and there really is an attack on the youth to basically usher them into something other than the Judeo-Christian family structure and the belief system. Okay. That KD said, sorry for being late to class. I'm going to make you do some lines. Shout out to Leonard Dioda. Shout out to you. He says he's not taking the vaccine. Okay. Shout out to you guys. I think it's the first time. If you guys are new, you've just subscribed, please let me know so we can welcome you properly. It is a way to test if they look female enough. The goal is to trick the straight drunk man. Well, to be honest with you, if you give a child puberty blockers early enough, they can easily, even boys now, especially with all of the plastic surgery, shaving down of the jaw, removing of the ribs to give a more hourglassy figure. Obviously, you're not going to have the big broad shoulders and the muscle mass if you give a prepubescent boy puberty blockers. Celine Dion, an icon around the world, created a gender neutral clothing line. And, it's not lost on me that this is a money grab. Okay, this is the current trend, like veganism. And so they are pushing these things, not because they necessarily care about the politics, but because they actually want to make money. And if this is the new trend, then obviously they want to get in on the action. But this is why we have to separate from celebrities, because they are shills that are used to push all kinds of trends to the culture. Remember how everyone's favorite celebrity had COVID when it dropped? And I just find it so strange how many celebrities have Black adopted children. I understand this was the thing in like the 2000s, but when I did a search on how many, celebrities have Black kids, it was crazy. So let's just finish reading this quickly. Like I said, there's a video out here of him walking in a dress. Maybe there's a picture down at the bottom. Towards the end of the video, Banda was shown saying, I low-key like wearing, like, it feels so freeing. You know what I mean? Madonna added in her accompanying caption, confidence is everything. And so obviously they're trying to make it seem like breaking the norm and going against tradition is a brave act. This is something that should be praised and should be encouraged. And children are impressionable. So if you are showing them that you praise this behavior, even if they are not transgender, they will be influenced to engage in this behavior because they see it garners a lot of attention. And so it's kind of nicely segued into the next thing. So I hope that gives Claire, who brought it to my attention, and for you guys who are watching what I I think I don't know what else to say, because at this point, them promoting men in dresses to us is like Tuesday. It's like every time you turn around, there's a new male celebrity, especially a black male, in a dress. And that's all I can say about it. We're living in dark times, and again, no shade to anybody who's part of the LGBTQ community or the trans community, but I don't believe that this is of God. I don't believe that this is how God designed for us to be living, just free of any kind of structure and order. Okay. What he has more than anything is focus and determination, and the pop superstar, I'm pretty sure he got that from me. So I'm not sure why all these white celebrities feel the need to adopt all these black children, but it's crazy how many who have actually done this. I wish you would just open in the window that I actually opened it in. I'm currently on, because you're giving me a hard time. So I just did a quick search earlier: white celebrities who have adopted black children. I don't like full screening because it just can't see what I'm doing. Jordan Peterson said that this trans thing might be suppressed play. Little kids will play and do things of the other gender to understand. When they do it as teens or adults, well, it's called Hollywood for a reason. I see why Bruce Willis moved to Montana to raise his kids. Yeah, there's definitely something strange about them, and obviously these children are in the spotlight, and so it's amplified whether or not there is a disproportionately high amount of weird children in Hollywood or not. Is it really a large number of weird children, or is it just because they're in our face all the time, it's noticeable? But again, it does seem strange that there's so many unconventional children amongst the Hollywood elites, but yet the percentage in the non-Hollywood population is so small. How do you have such a high percentage of people who engage in these strange behaviors? Okay. So I think you didn't finish your thought right there. It says there might be suppressed play. Little kids will play and do things of other genders to understand. When they do it as teens or adults, I'm assuming you're going to say, then that's a different kettle of fish. Okay. They corrupted their children. Not Umar. Yes, Umar. He went outside after he was roasting the manosphere and talking about these, what did he say? These YouTubians. He started praising Oshun for the sun coming out. The soul of a man. Okay. What in God's name is going on here? Yeah, so reincarnation and transgenderism is an explanation for the soul coming back in a different gendered body. Once you go, it's game over. No, continues. And then the man is hit with a hate crime and will be jailed, fighting off great from other men. Exactly. Men can't win and have so many hurdles and paths to prison. True. Okay. So Friedman asked, why do all these celebrities have weird children? Rick Moranis, is he still alive? Freeman, Montana and Wyoming and Idaho are heavens on earth. I've noticed that they're doing this with black boys and they're all going to the media. If a boy wanted to dress like a thug, and no, he shouldn't, they wouldn't be cool with it. And this is the thing. People, children are impressionable. What you make normal, that's what they're going to do. So if you're telling boys to be an acceptable male, you have to wear nail polish, which I'm seeing a lot of men wearing nail polish lately and dressing in a very effeminate way. This is what they're going to do. So manhood is constantly under attack. And this is one of the things that I was kind of looking at, because I feel like in the occult world, the feminine principle is actually elevated over the male principle. And so this is one of the reasons why now we have a resurgence of the lesbian agenda. When Caitlyn Jenner first, broke out, we were just about to hit the lesbian wave, because Kirsten Stewart came out as a lesbian, and a lot of people that we suspected were lesbians, like Jodie Kidd? I can't remember now. A lot of women came out as lesbian. Missy Elliott finally admitted she was a lesbian, and she was in Jodie Foster. Okay, a lot of women that we suspected were lesbians actually came out, but then they got overshadowed by Caitlyn Jenner. But now that the whole, we've got over the trans thing, we now have to force everybody into drag queens, and RuPaul's been raised from the dead, and he's got a multitude of shows and is appearing everywhere. Now it's the lesbian agenda. Hence why when you look at WAP, they're singing about being intimate with men, but there's no men in the video. The only male that you see in the WAP video is a snippet at the beginning when they're walking through the hallway. You see two tigers, copulating. And that's the only time you see any kind of male figure in that music video. And it's so quick, it just flashes. As most people have seen the video for WAP by now. As they walk through the hallway, they look in different rooms. And in one of the rooms, you see two white tigers, having intercourse. But it's obviously a flash. And consciously, you don't really see it. If you slow it down, you do. I did show it there in the breakdown. That's the only male in that entire video, even though they're singing a very sexual song, where you'd think there would be men in there that they could do all this demonstration about. Okay, so I'm not approved, but I don't know what to say, because YouTube is sensitive. It's like if I criticize WAP, they'll hit my video, but yet WAP can actually play. And if you look, a lot of these female artists are now engaging in very lesbian behaviors. A lot of these celebrities are kissing each other, they're caressing each other. Even in WAP, you see Megan and Cardi is really pioneering this, in my opinion. A lot of the things I see Cardi doing, she's often kind of groping and being very sexual with other females. And so again, her audience is going to be quite young and impressionable, and they are going to see that and say, well, I think this is something I want to emulate. So facts. And Bill Witherton, creator of Calvin in Hobbes, lives in Montana. Okay, Montana sounds like a good place to go if you want some kind of pick your words carefully. Can I say normalcy? I bet that is the last section of the country I have yet to road trip through. I plan to hit it when I do the Great Alaskan Highway. If you guys haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Is it Magic Johnson who has, no, it wasn't him who has the son that's, is it him who has the son who's now a woman or a female? I guess they want to be seen as the opposite gender. That's their ultimate goal. MJ and the gay son, and they look like hostage photos. And then look at him with his first son. Again, a lot of these women are the ones leading the charge when it comes to pushing, in my opinion, the men to adopt and accept this transgender agenda. So George says self-dating is allowing someone to believe your agenda and they don't know the truth. Sometimes it gets to intimate situations and they still don't tell. Well, yeah, because some of these people, and again, I'm not going to police what people do in the bedroom, but a lot of people are engaging in things like anal sex. So you could be with a trans woman, sorry, and they're like, I don't feel like doing it like properly, but I don't mind doing this. And the guy is like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy she allows me to, enter from the back kind of thing. And then you don't realize the reason why this person is saying do that is because they are not anatomically a female. And so when we have this culture, I've seen videos, some of them I believe are skits, of men walking up to women and saying, I would love to, perform oral sex on you. This is not for kids. I don't know, like if you hadn't noticed that, then I don't know what to tell you. But if you've got kids in the room, it's probably too late. Okay, I should have said this at the beginning, but we're here. Okay, so I want to engage in various sexual activities with you. A lot of men these days, I will say, and women, of course, are so thirsty for that quick fix of validation. You don't realize the person is eager to engage in certain behaviors with you because they are not being honest about their biology. So people have to be careful out here. I never thought we would get to the day when you would have to ask somebody, were you born a man or were you born a woman? Okay, but guess what? We're here. Okay, spell it out. The light bearer, Satan, or Santa. That's a different conversation for another day. Yes, meditation without religion, or a new form of religion. So there's a book of questions. I did it on Sahel Speaks, and it's a great way to show who you are. Yeah, Charlize Theron was terrible. So let's have a quick look at this. That's it, Dwayne Wade. And now a good deal of women are getting their wake-up call. Trans women are entering into sports. There was an MMA match. I saw that where the trans woman hit her opponent so hard, her skull was fractured. I didn't know it was that bad. You get what you asked for. Women said they Did Antisocial just use M. Bison? It's a Tuesday quote. I don't know. I've heard it before, but I just repeated, but I didn't know that's where it came from. Okay, I'm pro-transport. There has to be a consequence for feminism. They just don't get to turn to men and get saved now that Frankenstein's monster has returned to the castle. You're a mess. It's true. If they wanted this, you wanted to be an activist for equality. You said that a trans woman is a woman. Okay, well, you have to deal with it. Okay. It was a bad movie. However, that was the best line of the movie. That and change the channel. Don't change the channel unless you've subscribed. Okay. Shout out to Absalom in the building. Oh my gosh, how dare you have an avatar that is Pepe Le Pew. He's such a misogynist. He's such a misogynist. Leave me alone. Yes, I am behind in the comments because I was rambling. The Japanese version was better. Yes, those children will be used to uphold white supremacy. In Hollywood, nail polish, eyeshadow, male genitals is a straight man. It's not just a straight man. It's not just that. It's the fact that it's the only acceptable kind of male you can be. If you're not elevating the feminine principle, then you're not a real man. Okay, so we got Charlize Theron, this lady from SVU. I'm not sure who this is. Michael Pfeiffer. Is he married to Michelle Pfeiffer? Jane Fonda? Hugh Jackman? I'm surprised. Ty Burrell? I'm not sure who that is. He looks familiar. Looks creepy, actually. Kristen Davis? Divorced twice. Mary Louise Parker? I'm not sure who that is. Steven Spielberg? Oh my gosh, Jillian Michaels? Really? Obviously, Angelina Jolie. Madonna. Tom Cruise? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Connie Britton, she looks familiar, but I can't think who she is. Jolie Fisher, and Sandra Bullock, to name a few. So this really became a thing, as we can see. So in the vein of strange parenting, I don't know who saw this recently, but yesterday I was looking at the front of the paper, and Naomi Campbell has released a picture of her 9-month-old. And there was a debate about whether or not she actually carried this child herself. Because, she was saying, I could have easily hidden a small baby bump until, I was ready to show it off, kind of thing. Or when the bump became too big and I couldn't hide it anymore, then, let me get the paper. So, the biggest blessing, Naomi on being a mom, and she was arguing that the child that she has is biologically hers, okay? Mom's the word for Naomi Campbell as she poses with her baby daughter for the first time. Last May, the supermodel revealed that she had become a mother at 50, giving followers a glimpse of her angel on Instagram, gracing the front cover of British Vogue with her little one. Naomi is keeping quiet about the details, but said she wasn't adopted, she's my child. I can count on one hand the number of people who knew I was having her, but she is the biggest blessing I could ever imagine. It was the best thing I've ever done. Naomi noted, times have certainly changed in the fashion world. I still enjoy it, but it's nerve-wracking because I'm 51 years old, walking with girls who are 18, she explained. It's great to be with these youngins at my age, but I have to say, at one of the shows, I was like, come on girls, pick up your feet. Why are you so slow? I definitely feel like my time was more joyful. We smiled, we got to show off our personalities. We did 8 shows a day, and then we would go and celebrate with the designers in the evening. I wonder sometimes if models now could have kept up with us. The March issue of Vogue is available on newsstands and via digital download from Tuesday. So the month before, or the month after, whatever, the coming month is when they show it comes out. So the March edition is going to be available maybe soon. It must be out already because we see the cover. And it's kind of in the vein of this issue with women now becoming mothers later in life. Everybody knows that Naomi Campbell has an anger problem, okay? This is not news. This is not a secret. And I'm not sure how many times Naomi Campbell's been married, if ever. Because, I'm not really going to do my research like that. But let's have a quick read of this situation. If you're just coming in, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. But basically, Naomi Campbell has done an American La Negra, a model parent with her Photoshop face. Let's just be real. How are you 50 and your face looks like that? Now, come on now. I've seen other pictures and Naomi Campbell don't look like that. They don't even look like Naomi, to be honest, but okay, whatever. A model parent, Naomi Campbell opens up about motherhood on her own terms. being flagged for nakedness. You know, I got a strike once for a thumbnail, and it was of a baby's umbilical cord. Like, YouTube is crazy. Naomi's late, 34 days, 2 hours and 50 minutes late. Or at least this is when we finally meet since the proposed date last year. I say meet in the loosest possible sense. She is on a flight heading to London from Qatar, this being the only spare hour she could find in her happily crowded and exuberant life, and we're relying solely on the strength of its Wi-Fi, which sadly doesn't stretch to video calls capability. But in this case, a detailed description of Naomi's physical appearance is somewhat redundant thanks to Seven Measle. Naomi, our otherworldly, what? Actually does look like that. What? Yeah, impossibly flawless skin. Thank you. Sensational hair. A honed beyond belief body. A goddess still at 51. So we are back here again with this worship of older women doing their own thing, going their own way. I'm not saying that you cannot, you can't look good or you don't have the right to pursue what you want to pursue. But this is not what we as lay people can emulate. It's the same thing with Rihanna. Rihanna set out to be a single mother. She already said, if I don't have children by a certain age, by hook or by crook, I'm going to actually get a child somehow, some way. Okay. When we look at who was it? There were other people. A lot of these celebrities, they are just, finding donors. Brittany Renner did it. Iggy Azalea did it. A lot of these women don't want families, or they haven't got what it takes to have a family. And so they wait and wait and wait. For example, Megan Good said she didn't really want children, but she didn't see why she couldn't wait to have children after 40 like Halle Berry. Instead of being on the same page as her husband, Megan Good decided she was going to take her own independent route. And that's what a lot of these women are showcasing now, that it's okay to wait forever and a day to basically have children. And yes, when she said that the child is biologically hers, most people speculate that she had to use a surrogate, because at the end of the day, how did she get away with a baby bump up until 9 months? Okay, yes, you could get away with it with loose flowing clothing, especially if you have a baby coming up to autumn or fall. Then obviously in the summer you want baggy, loose fitting clothing, so you could hide a small baby bump. But if you're hiding away, maybe it's possible. Obviously with COVID, a lot of people were kind of locked in their house. They didn't go out. They only did video call from the neck up. So it's kind of possible, but I doubt very much that she actually did carry the child herself. Not at 50. Pepsi's not a misogynist. Bugs Bunny used to kiss men. Pepe like pussycats. Get it? Don't tell me you're part of the cancel culture. No, I'm surprised that you were brazen enough to put Pepe Le Pew, because he was cancelled. He was like, Pepe Le Pew is a misogynist and he's chasing the women around. And true, this is why we have gays and effeminate men supporting the divestment movement. The only way you can be masculine is when you're screaming at other men in defense of divestors. Fact. White liberals love blacks as mascots for their causes. Why not a black child? Adopt a black child to surrogate, maybe she can afford it. Now, a lot of people can't afford a surrogate. Shout out to Odessa in the building. But yeah, she can afford it. My issue with this whole culture of celebrities promoting single motherhood is this is not what is going to fit the black community. And all of these black women or melanated women showcasing how they froze their eggs and waited till 50 to start having children. Okay, you have a child at 50. When that child is 20, you're going to be 70. Can you really help raise grandchildren? Are you really going to be in a position to lead a child into adulthood when, at 70, how much of a parent can you really be? You're kind of creating a culture of orphans because how many people, I mean, the average age people are living to their 80s. Okay, so your child is going to be with you until they around the age of 30, maybe max, depending on how well you take care of yourself. It's just not a viable option, and it's just not a good idea. For most women who are waiting till they are 50, a lot of them will never have children. And again, if this is population control, then it's probably working. For the women who can afford it, don't forget these are established women. Rihanna's a billionaire. Naomi Campbell's probably, she's not a billionaire, but she's got a few millions lying around. And a lot of these celebrities, now they can make money off of clout and selling pictures. They're in a different league, but yet they are pushed to the masses as though there's some kind of example in which they are not. So shout out to African Politics Podcast. It says, she said she's never been married. And how many times have we seen Naomi Campbell beating people in the airport? I think she busted a lip of an attendant with a phone or something. She has fits of rage and things like this. And with all due respect, well, this is why she probably never got married. Because although she's incredibly attractive, she's kind of like Halle Berry, very pretty on the outside, but very volatile on the inside, like somebody else I could mention on YouTube, but who shall remain nameless. But if you're watching, you know it's you I'm talking to. So I'm not going to go any further with that, but partial shots fired. Watch Batwoman Star Train like a superhero. She is just moving around in her apartment. What? They better not cancel Johnny Bravo. That's still on TV? The pushback is normal. Women have had the media space forever. When negative information about feminism's choices are exposed, there is going to be pushback. Erin Andrews, 43, had 7 rounds of IVF. Shh. And this is what a lot of people don't actually like to talk about. The reason why IVF treatment is so expensive is because, okay, you may have viable eggs, but are you actually able to carry the pregnancy? And a lot of the times the issue is not the eggs, it's the ability to carry the child to term. So they're not telling these women that it's unlikely you'll be successful on the first try. And that's part of the money-making scam, okay? And so a lot of the times these women are, I think, was it 30% or it's less than 50% of IVF treatment is like successful, and maybe on the first try. A lot of it is unsuccessful. And so telling women to wait longer, freeze your eggs, which I don't really understand what the point is, because if there's no man, there's just no man. If you're waiting to have a stable family, if you're waiting to the point where you now have to freeze your eggs, the man you're getting with probably has children from previous relationship, or he doesn't want children, which is why up to that age he hasn't had children. So what's the point to freeze the eggs? I'm not condoning going and having children without a husband, but it would make more sense while you're young to just have children while you're youthful than to hope that when you get to 50, like Naomi Campbell, you're going to find a man who's going to marry you and then you can use those eggs. The whole freezing of the egg thing doesn't really make sense to me. Okay, so there's a lot of things that they don't tell these women. The cell phone is Campbell's weapon of choice. I mean, she's probably always on it, so it's durable enough, especially if it's got a good case on it. She smash your face in with it and then, make a call probably to her lawyer or something. Only Western population control. Non-Western developing countries are sexing. Where do you think all those immigrants to Europe over the last decade came from? Well, they don't subscribe to Western ideologies. So that's all I wanted to say. I might do another video really talking about just trying to condense down the thoughts on this whole baby mama culture and how basically it is being pushed heavily to Black women, that it's desirable to basically be a single mom. You don't have to have a husband. You don't need to get married or anything like this. You can just do it on your own. And for a lot of these celebrities, that's an option because they have staff, they have a lot of money. A lot of the issues that come with single parenthood, they won't have to necessarily face it because the money will compensate for it. But for the average person, this is not something that can help the Black community. Okay, so let's just read a little bit of this article and then we'll get up out of here. Naomi announced becoming a mother on Instagram in May 2021 with a post of her daughter's perfect, deliciously tiny feet in the palm of her hand, manicured hand. Exact details around her arrival are unknown. When asked if she would elaborate, all she will confirm is she wasn't adopted, she's my child. She is saving the rest of the details for her book. Okay, which she is yet to begin. She has also decided to keep her daughter's name private. In fact, very few people even knew that she was planning parenthood. I can count on one hand the number of people who knew I was having her, she admits. But she is the biggest blessing I could ever imagine. It is the best thing I've ever done. So once again, we see them promoting something which is completely negative, not negative, but this is not a viable option for the vast majority of people, and it's not something that's going to help the community go forward. This bundle of pure joy has just made the first Vogue appearance, a cover no less, and unsurprisingly, she was natural. She loves the light. What? She's inquisitive. She was looking at everyone, which is normal, what babies do. They're like, oh my God. She looks at people right in the eye for a very long time because she's like, what kind of strange creature is this? You know, like they're making out like Naomi's baby is unique to any other baby. What? She was taking it all in. What is surprising to learn is how nervous Naomi was on set with Weasel, one of her closest friends and collaborator who she has known since she was 16 years old. I'm always very nervous and quiet when I have to work with Stephen. I'm so focused on becoming something else, something new in his eyes, to understand his direction and be 100% present. Their friendship spans over 35 years. They met in December 86 in New York. So yeah, this is where we're at with it. And now they're talking about Paris and Milan. So obviously not what the average person is doing. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that to you. Thank you so much to Claire for bringing this to my attention. It's all part of the agenda. It's all part of breaking up the traditional family unit and promoting things that are not conventional. Okay, for the celebrities, you could say it might work out, but for the vast majority of people, this is not a viable option. So yeah, I don't think Naomi would do anything terrible to the baby in terms of abuse, but definitely in terms of, you know, who's the father, probably a donor. So that's another child, a fatherless child, and things like this. It's just a negative look. So with that being said, I really appreciate everybody who came through. Once again, newest member of the 1K Club. I couldn't have done it without all of you guys. If you are watching this on the restream, you know, pat your back that you've made it this far. If you are new and you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Share the video with somebody who needs to see it. Give it a big thumbs up. And of course, let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. All the links are in the About section. And of course, check out the community tab because we have different things in there. Once again, have a great Wednesday. In the next one, peace.